business enthusiasts. We're back with the second episode featuring the brilliant Ukutamikas, the CEO of Messente Communications. Today we're delving into post-fraud measures and the relentless fight against fraudsters. Uku will also give us a sneak peek into his time management skills. Ukutamikas is the CEO of Messente Communications. He advocates for honest entrepreneurship and is an expert in telecommunications with extensive knowledge of fraud, global markets, and business messaging. Let's say that the fraud actually happened. What are the steps which businesses could take to actually get rid of this problem as quick as possible and as efficient as possible?
So first things first, it really depends on how fast you notice or how fast you're notified. So first things first, when you hear it come in or you get a report from a client, banks have an obligation to go to the authorities, but also go to the operators. See why it happened, what's the pattern of this happening. If you have a service provider, talk to them. Is there anything that they can do? Have they seen anything on the wholesale market? Usually providers see a lot more happening outside of just this, narrow field and see to the wholesale market, see what's happening there as well, so that there are ways to share that information as quickly. If you have a player that has a significant position within the market, carries significant weight in terms of market penetration. For us, for example, 60% of the country's messages go through us from both the enterprise and wholesale side. So we have an ability to immediately have an effect by blocking, let's say, 7 or 8 channels where it might have come through. Or we've already seen them ourselves and have sent the businesses examples. This is what you need to look out for because, we don't cover everything. You might want to look out for these. And then communicating. These types of things have happened. Be more careful about this. Show on social media and constantly communicate with your clients in the same consistent manner, because more consistency you create for your customers, the more they will understand. This logistics provider's parcel delivery notifications and let's say customs notifications have always come in this specific form. Why should they come from another one? And this kind of comes down to the point as well, is why would use direct providers and legitimate routes instead of trying to always fight for a 1/10 of a cent lower price? Because we know how a 1/10 of a cent of a lower price is achieved. It's by blending, it's by AAT, it's by trashing, it's by all of these other measures that are able to be used in order to create that margin, protect the margin while give you the price. So it's safer to pay market price and pay a little bit more for the quality, making sure that you keep the consistency in your delivery. It looks the same and it's more trusted and people are less able to fall victim to scam.
How do you think this frauds would develop in the future, and how do you think the systems will actually help to get rid of these frauds?
It'll always keep developing because if we look at, throughout history, fraudulent activity has always been a thing. From snake oil salesmen in times way gone by to people selling enchanted items or blessed items or indulgences or whatever else, right? Some form of fraudulent activity has always existed and it will always exist. It's now a matter of what are the different types of mechanisms we can put into place to create a more safe environment for the customers, and how do we create a better method of communicating, sharing information, creating awareness of these things as well. The digital age creates an enormous ability to obtain data, and that data can be super sort of overwhelming for people as well. To get 20 messages per day, quite easy to drop a scam message in there and make it look exactly very similar. So it's important to continue working on finding these mechanisms, also being aware of what's the next form of fraud out there. That's why we talk about AIT so much, because artificial traffic inflation or artificial traffic generation is a major problem for the industry, for everybody else. If we hide our head under the sand and don't talk about it, let's just blow it over. It won't blow over. It'll be worse. Companies will start switching to alternative methods of verification, communication, which then shoots us in the foot again. So it's very important to also, on top of these things as an industry, and collaborate more as an industry. We're seeing that so much more, even with, in the mobile ecosystem forum that we're a part of, where you see these topics happen more. There are more businesses that are active in talking about it. Big players sharing stages with smaller players, sharing information and intel between each other, collaborating on these types of topics as well. So there's a lot more positivity I see in things getting better. But I also see, people coming up to me in conferences and selling me AIT as a service, or, looking for scam routes. So it's always trying to find this balance and trying to take that as well. And being very aware of AI. The more powerful AI becomes, the more powerful scam becomes as well, because you can create incredibly engaging scam content. And that is very, very hard to find.
I would say to finish this interview, I would like to ask more of a personal question. Apart from being managing a partner at Messente, you're also a father of two wonderful children. You're also volunteer as a firefighter or a school teacher. You do so many wonderful activities in your life. Please share your lesson to the time management, how to combine all these wonderful activities in life and be as fulfilled as a person as you are.
Sure. I think the most important thing behind everything is that when you want to do a lot of different things, be cautiously aware that you're never going to get the maximum out of everything. Like, be happy contributing. Like right now, I'm a volunteer firefighter, and I used to be a lot more active in being on call and actually going and actively fighting fires. But I have a lot less time right now. So what I do is I try to help the organization in other ways. So I helped set up an SMS notification system about where the fires are happening. So if there are firefighters nearby, then they can help and are more aware of that. I've helped with the actual organizational aspects, helped activate things, fund some money. There are other ways that you can contribute. You don't have to contribute at maximum. If you can't do a full course at school, do a few guest lectures, do something. You don't have to be the maximum at it. Or it's the same thing where I train in cycling quite a lot. And I do yoga every single day, 1,007 days in a row right now. So nearly 3 calendar years straight up without never missing a day. It doesn't mean that I'll do an hour and 30 every single morning. This morning I did 15 minutes. Some mornings I do 10 minutes. Some mornings I'll do an hour and a half. It depends on how much time I have and being content with doing rather than trying to be perfect. People get stuck in the trap of perfection. And that's why they don't get stuff done. Because if I'm not going to do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it all. No, do it. Just do something. Do a little bit. Every little bit helps. And consistency will always beat perfection in the long run. So again, look at the long game. Do a little bit. Be happy with doing a little bit. Like reading 2 pages. That's perfectly fine. Like one of the things that I teach when I help teach time management to people is people want to read books more, right? People want to read more, have more time for reading. Cool. Put the book next to your bathroom sink. So when you're brushing your teeth, you read a few pages. And people usually go, oh, man, but that's only going to be 5 minutes. Sure, but that would be 5 minutes twice a day. And then leave it next to the toilet. And maybe you'll get another 10, 15 minutes on top of that. So you'll be reading 20 minutes, 30 minutes per day. And then you go, well, that's not too much. Sure, but in a week, that's 3.5 hours. And when was the last week you read 3.5 hours in? And now multiply that by 4, and all of a sudden you have 16 hours per month. When did you last read for 16 hours per month? And now multiply that by the year. And now all of a sudden you're looking at 20, 30 books by just reading a few pages a day when you're brushing your teeth. That's the essence of time management, understanding where are the points where I can create success for myself at the lowest friction point, rather than trying to be perfect.
Thank you for these concise and specific and interesting, exciting answers.
Thank you very much.